Yo, what is good, boys? So we back with another video, my first Warzone video. So the first thing that I want to start with is my settings. I want to give you guys the best settings that you can possibly get on the game, best in-game settings, and then I'll show you like the best FOV that you could possibly get. This wouldn't work for console, so if you're on console playing Warzone, this is not going to work for you, but on PC, it is, and I'll show you the difference between different FOVs. So, hope you guys enjoy this video. Alright, so starting with general settings, you're going to want your input device to be whatever you play on controller. And most important thing on PC, the best option on PC on Warzone is field of view, or FOV, as I call it. So, you're going to want this at 120, the max FOV you could possibly get. This is going to create you to be able to see a higher radius or higher field of view, which is actually a huge advantage in the game, and it actually feels better. You're gonna see. So if you ever watch Aiden, Symphony, Nick Merckx, people that stream Warzone, you'll notice that they look faster. It's because their FOV is at the max 120. So the standard FOV is usually 80, which is actually not good at all because you cannot see. Also, it just feels sluggish. It feels slower. If you want that very crisp gameplay where you can see everything around you, higher FOV, go with the 120 FOV. Definitely recommend it. Now moving on to brightness, I just keep it at 50. I don't do anything with the HUD scale. Skip introduction movie, just disable that. Or you can enable it, it doesn't really matter. Tooltips, I just keep it enabled. Subtitles disabled. Colorblind mode, I just have it on Tritanopia. I just think it is the best colorblind mode. I could see more on the map. It's, in my opinion, it's the best. Colorblind target, I just use interface. HUD scale, oh yeah, HUD. Alright, so your mini-map shape, make sure this is at square. It's crazy because mini-map is actually so important because you're going to be able to see. So if you use a UAV in game and it appears the red dots, an enemy team, on the circle you might not see them because on the circle it doesn't have the full, you can't see as much with that. As demonstrated in the picture right here, you see the square, you can see a lot more than the circle. So make sure your minimap shape is on square. Your minimap rotation enabled. Let's keep this on letters because numbers, you won't be able to make callouts to your teammates. Text chat enabled. Profanity filter. I'm gonna keep that disabled because it's probably funny. Dismembrance and gore effects, I just have them enabled. Frames per second counter enabled, so you can see your frames. Server latency, I keep that on just to see my my ping. And then packet loss, I have that enabled so I can see my packet loss. Graphics processing unit, gonna disable that. Gonna disable GPU time. Yeah, all this stuff. Just copy that. And that's general settings. We'll move on to graphic settings now. Okay, so graphic settings. So make sure your display mode is on full screen. This is actually going to boost your FPS if you're on full screen. If you're on borderless or windowed, you're going to get less FPS just because you're opening another tab, which is interfering with the game. Display monitor, make sure you have your whatever monitor you're playing on, make sure you have that selected. This is just your graphics card or whatever. I run a 1060. It's alright, it's not the best. Planning on getting a new one. Screen refresh rate, make sure it's selected to 144, 60, whatever it's gonna be. 60, 240, whatever you got. Render resolution, make sure this is at 100, because if it's anything like 66, 60, 80, it's going to be a little bit blurry. So in Warzone, it's super important that you're able to see all your surroundings. So make sure with crisp, not bad image quality. So you're going to need that at 100. Aspect ratio, I just have it at automatic. Sync every frame, or VSync. Disable that. That's going to drop FPS a ton, so make sure that's disabled. Custom frame rate limit, I just have it on unlimited because I want my game to run the max FPS it possibly can. I only run 90 frames. I mean, frames aren't the biggest issue in Warzone like it is in other games like Fortnite, or, you know, games like Fortnite, which is an FPS game. It's very important to have FPS in that game. This game, it's not as important. So I just keep it on unlimited just so I could get max FPS. It may not be the best for my PC, but I just want that max FPS I could possibly get. And NVIDIA highlights disabled. NVIDIA reflex low latency enabled plus boost, or enabled if you're a PC. If you notice your PC can't handle it. This is gonna boost FPS a ton if you can use it though, because it's gonna clock your GPU. Display gamma 2.2. Streaming quality, make sure it's low. Texture resolution normal. Texture filter anisotropic. Make sure that's normal. Particle quality, actually, if you have it on high, it's gonna actually increase FPS, which is very interesting. I did not know that it was gonna do this. After testing it, I was like, wow, this is weird, because normally if you put it on low, it's gonna be a lot better. So I put it on high, it boosted my FPS for some odd reason. Bullet impact and sprays, make sure that's enabled. Tessellation disabled. On-demand texture streaming disabled. This just is your PC, whatever it takes. Shadow map resolution low. Cachebot shadows disabled for the sun shadows as well. Shadows are terrible in video games. I wish they weren't in the games because you can't see anything. Particle light low. DirectX ray tracing disabled. You do not want that. This is only applied by NVIDIA RTX, so you might not even have this if you don't have an NVIDIA graphics card. So you probably not gonna have that if you're anything other than NVIDIA. Ambient occlusion disabled. Screen space reflection disabled. Anti-aliasing off. I've tried it on. It drops FPS a lot, so make sure it's off. Depth of view disabled. Filming strength 0. Don't know why this is a thing. World motion blur disabled. Weapon motion blur disabled. Another setting. Why is it in the game? Don't know. Film grain 0. Don't know why it's in the game. Want everything to be crisp and not like that, like it looks like it's in a 1970s movie or something. Dynamic resolution, make sure that's disabled. I don't know, this is a new setting that came with season 2 that is just not anything. It doesn't do anything, so don't put that on. Alright, so now we're going to move on to audio settings. Okay, so audio settings. Make sure your audio mix. I've played with a lot of different ones. I typically use the dynamic home theater. I've tried boost high. It was pretty good, but I don't know. I just feel like it was too much. So I use dynamic home theater. Make sure your volume is on 100, because sometimes it's very hard to hear footsteps in this game. Very hard. So make sure it is on 100. Music volume, I keep it on 0 so I don't hear the music while I'm in game. Dialogue volume, I keep it at 80. Effects volume, keep it at 100 so I can hear anything, such as an explosion, shots, everything. Juggernaut music, I disable that. Hit marker sound effects, classic, doesn't matter, whatever you want. the old school Modern Warfare hits different, brings back memories, so that's what I use. Voice chat, I just mute everyone except the party because I use the chat and here a lot. And yeah, that's that. That's really anything that's important in audio settings. So I'll move on to the part that you guys may have all been waiting for, is controller settings. Alright, so my controller settings. My button layout I use is tactical flipped. It is, in my opinion, the most it's probably the best settings for movement. So slide canceling is super easy. I play on standard. I don't play in claw, so I just play regular controller. I have no scuff at all. I just play regular controller. Tactical flipped is really helpful. So you're crouching with R3 and you're sliding with R3. And then you're shooting with L1 and R1 and you're throwing your, say your frag, or you're opening up your heartbeat sensor. You're using L2 and R2 for that. It's actually super, super, super good. So I definitely recommend, if you want to switch to tactical flipped, it's actually very simple. And it took me maybe 2 plunder games in order to get it. So it's pretty simple. Definitely recommend getting that. This I just have default because I'm not lefty or anything like that. So I don't use any of that. Invert look controls disabled. Dead zone. To figure out your dead zone is you can set it to like 0.5 and then 0.05. And when you set it there, you can let go of your controller and see if your joysticks are moving on their own. And if they do, that means that you need to up your dead zones. So to find that out, that's how you do it. Find out your dead zones. I use 0.10, and then my sensitivities for horizontal and vertical are 6.6. Definitely my favorite I've used. And then my ADS sensitivity is 80/80. Some people use 85, some people use 90. I definitely think that 80 is right for me. This could vary for you. Same with the stick sensitivity, horizontal and vertical. Definitely could vary for you. Depends on you yourself. I think sensitivity doesn't matter for anyone. I just personally, I think it's a personal opinion on what you think your sensitivity is best for. Make sure your aim response curve type is dynamic. Everyone's switching to dynamic ever since season 2 came about. If you look at Hydro, if you look at Aiden, everybody's on dynamic. Controller vibration, make sure that's disabled. It is useless in the game. I think it bothers me personally, but that is definitely what you would choose to have. Aim assist standard. Nobody has used any other. I mean, you could play around with precision, focusing, or you could disable aim assist if you really want to. I mean, that's up to you. But I use standard, so standard is definitely good for me. Scale aim assist with FOV enabled. Weapon mount activation, ADS and melee. I disable weapon mount movement exit. Aim down sight behavior, hold. Equipment behavior, hold. Use reload behavior. Contextual tap. Depleted ammo weapon switch enabled. Armor complete behavior, apply all. And then movement. Slide behavior, tap. You do not want to hold to slide. That is not good at all. Auto move forward, make sure that's disabled unless you want auto run. I don't think it's good for this game, for me personally. Make sure your automatic sprint is on automatic tactical sprint. That is definitely what you need at all times. Vehicle camera, recenter, enabled. Parachute auto deploy, disabled. You do not want to auto deploy your parachute. And that's all my settings. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.